Any way that you'd like. And just stretch your arms straight out in front of you. Flex the wrist as much as you can and spread all 10 fingers wide. Squeeze like a fist. And then do this rapidly. Open and close, open and close, open and close. Keep the arms as straight as you can as you do this and try to get faster. It's weirdly hard. Open, 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 close. And keep the hands open. Reflex the wrist. And take one hand, fingertips all the way down to the wrist. Like not halfway on your hand, but all the way down. And give a little bit more of a pull back. Okay, 2 stop signs. And then take the other hand, fingertips down to the other wrist. Cover the entire hand and try to pull back. So you're not just pulling back on your fingers, but the entire hand. And then 2 stop signs again and give it just a good shake. Good. Make circles one way and circles the other way. All right. Take the hands down along your thighs. Gently turn your gaze low or close the eyes. And bring all of your attention, all of your awareness to your breath. Don't try to change or alter the breath, just notice. Like, where is that baseline starting point for class today? This is the last live class for our November hub. This month we've been working with the mantra, my energy creates my reality. What I focus on is what I will manifest. And I like to look at that specifically in what happens on our yoga mat. So kind of notice where you're starting from. How's the breath feeling? How's your body feeling? How's the mind? May the work, the energy, the movement of this practice give you a shift that is helpful. And then tuck the chin down to the chest and rock the right ear over towards the right shoulder. Chin back down to the chest, left ear to the left shoulder. And just a few times back and forth like this. Your own kind of pace. Perhaps staying one side longer than the other if you notice a little more kink and a little more need for release. And then keep chin down to the chest. Take both hands behind your head and give a little press of the head into the hands. I do this a lot. It's so we find a light stretch down the back of the body. But right off the bat in our practice, remembering to be strong in the front side, as if each wall of the abdomen is closing in and back, navel towards the spine. Okay, and release the hands, lift the head, open your eyes. Okay, come on over to all fours. And we'll get into some bigger movement. I had mentioned as folks were setting up, we'll use a blanket and a block in class today, or something similar to that. Like I have my meditation cushion and a yoga block, maybe a stack of books or a low stool would work, something like that. All right, all fours. Cat and cow. Just move the spine back and forth here. And each Wednesday class, I take a little more focus on one particular action or pose, though trying to make sure we always get a well-rounded practice throughout. Today, there's a bit more focus for crane pose, Bakasana. Sometimes folks call it crow pose. If that brings up excitement, use it as you move through the practice. If it brings up a little anxiety, try to use this motion back and forth to soothe. Don't worry about it. It's really no big deal. And then let's all sit back to child's pose. Knees a bit apart, big toes together. Sit your hips way back and reach your arms out in front of you. Here in child's pose, stay active. Crawl the fingers a little further forward. Maybe lift the head so that you're looking past the fingers rather than allowing the forehead to be down on the mat here. Try to hollow out underneath the armpit so there's this extra little lift or bubble. Actively pull your hips back towards the heels. And then walk the hands just a little bit to the right side. Walk the hands across the center and over to the second side. Good, and back into the middle. From all fours again, tuck the toes and do downward facing dog. Lift the hips. In down dog, pedal your feet. Walk the dog, if you will. Shake the head a bit, yes and no. One reason I like to practice Bakasana is that it's quite an involved pose. We need strong hands and wrists, steady arms and shoulders. Strengthen the core, both opening and strengthen the hips. So we'll get into all those aspects here. Step your right foot forward in between the hands for low lunge. And keep stepping. Don't rely on just one step. Keep going until your knee is over the line of our ankle, fingertips in line with the toes. And then lift the back leg high enough that you can make it straight. Maybe even feel the muscles engage, strong quads onto the bone. From there, lift the right hand up to the sky. So a little twist here. And then bring the right hand to the inside of your foot and spin the back heel down. Down dog lunge. I've done this in literally every class this month. Walk your hands out over the front corner. This is an awesome prep for Bakasana. Getting our chest a little bit low, but still with strong, straight arms. broad opening in the front hip in particular. Squeeze the front inner thigh around your right shoulder here. Try to make the connection, inner thigh, inner knee to the shoulder. And then walk the hands back in, lift your back heel, and step all the way backwards to down dog. Pedal it out. Okay, second side, step the left foot forward. Get it up there, all the way into your low lunge. Nice. Knee over ankle, fingertips in line with the toes. Same thing, like my hips always need to go higher here to get the strength and the push through the back leg. And when we have that strength pushing into the back side of the body, it's going to make this twist a little more doable. Left arm up. Paying attention to those alignment points right off the bat at the beginning of practice, for me, just makes things easier to stay that much more connected as we go along. So left hand goes down to the inside of the foot, spin the back heel down. Walk your hands out towards the front right corner. So sometimes I mention to walk your hands further away because I want you to try to have this connection, front knee to the outer arm bone. Keep your hands more forward today, even if it means not walking them out quite as far, quite as low, if you will. Just breathe with it. And then take the hands around the front foot, lift the back heel, and again, step backwards to downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, come forward to plank pose, the top of your push-up. Can you line up your shoulders right over the back of the wrist? And everyone for a moment, lower your knees down to the mat. And as you lower the knees, just a little bit of an angle back from your hip. And take a good look at your hands. Spread all 10 fingers wide apart. I often say to work the horseshoe of your hand, meaning your thumb and first finger. So more pressure into the thumb and first finger than the rest of the hand. And then I need to scoop my knees forward an inch or two to do this. Like close off the stance just a little bit. And can you bring your shoulders forward of the wrist? It's more flexion, more pressure. Keep pushing through the finger pads so that that pressure doesn't fall in the back of the wrist. And then come back to shoulder right over the wrist. So it shouldn't be a big change. It's like shoulders more in line with the top of the palm, maybe up towards the fingers, versus neutral right over the back of the wrist or back of the palm. And then do it one more time. Move forward and back to neutral. And then can you come back up to full plank? Hold there. Look a little forward of the hands. Squeeze the glutes a lot. Lengthen the tailbone, toe in your belly. And let's lower down. Flat to the mat. Reach your arms back behind you, palms to the sky. Lift everything that you can up away from the mat. Start to squeeze the heels closer in towards one another. And remember that horseshoe of the hand. Try to lift thumb and first finger a little higher up so it's this inner rotation. And then lower everything down and press back to child's pose. Lift your torso so you're sitting back on your heels. Lean forward to sit on tucked toes. Tucked toes. Take your hands and squeeze your heels a little closer together. They're usually falling out to the side. So we're going to use our hands to help squeeze in. That might make things a little more intense. If you lean more forward in your body, that'll take some of the pressure off. If you can, sit up tall, right on top of the heels. Interlace your hands, flip the palms, and reach to the sky. Push through your thumb and first finger a little more than the rest of the hand. Breathe in. Breathe out. Nicely done. Release. Roll over your feet so you bring the knees off of the ground. In this little squat, can you hold some balance, maintain integrity in the belly, and just stand up? Yeah. Good. Come to the front of the yoga mat. Let's do some big movement, sun salutations. Lift the arms up to the sky. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold, touch down. Inhale, half lift. Hands can go to your thighs, the shins, or fingertips to the floor. The important part is to get this length from the hips out to the head. And then step back to plank. With control, lower down to your yoga mat. Use the hands and feet now to press down and lift your torso up for Cobra. Bhujangasana, Bhuj are the shoulders. Shrug the shoulders towards your ears and then back behind you. Lower it back down. Change to downward facing dog, hips up and back. Step your right foot in between the hands. Come up to high lunge. And we're going to keep the back heel lifted here. Our back leg is straight as works. Arms overhead. Lower the hands down. Step back to plank. You get to do a push-up. Down and up. Toes or knees. And then downward facing dog. And do the second side. Step the left foot in between. Find your balance. Come all the way up. Arms overhead. Take a breath. And then lower the hands down. Step back. So you hold plank, or you add the push-up. Good old-fashioned push-up. Just straight down, straight up. And then everyone down dog. Let's take the right leg up into the air, three-legged dog. You can go a little bit, a little bit, a little bit more, as high or as low as that feels right to you. Remembering, how does your energy help you on the mat? And then step the foot all the way forward to your low lunge again. Bring your hands up to the front thigh. Keep leaning forward so the hinge of the hip is back so that the head and torso can go forward. And add a twist, palms together. Cross left elbow towards the right. You could be a little more lifted in the torso. That creates more strengthening action in the core. Or set the elbow down for a little more depth in the twist. And then you have a little less to do in the core. And untwist, set the hands down, step it all the way back to down dog. One more side, lift the left leg up, little more. And step it all the way through. You can always use a little helping hand to get into that full length. I often do on that second side. And then hands up to the front thigh, continue to lean forward, have the belly pressed against the thigh or really close to it. Remember, back leg lifted, hips a little lifted, push through the back heel. All that concentration in the back side of the body should make the twist a little more doable. Right elbow to the outside of the left thigh. Set it down or keep it just slightly lifted. Look anywhere that feels good to you. Down for steadiness, up for challenge. Okay, yogis, untwist, and this time step forward, both feet to the front of the mat. Half lift. Forward fold. Stand up, arms to the sky. And palms together, center of the chest. Breath in. Breath out. Okay, let's go again. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Step again, back to plank. With control, lower down to the mat. You can lower all the way down. You don't have to hover. Cobra, peel the shoulders up and back, chest forward. Look straight ahead. Push through the inner edges of your hands. Big toe down to the mat. Change to downward facing dog. And that change can go for the knees or from straight legs. Okay, a little quicker here. Step the right foot forward, come upright, high lunge. Take half a breath. Lower the hands, step back. Add the push-up or hold, down dog. Second side, step the left foot forward, come up to high lunge. Take half a breath. Lower the arms, step back, hold or add the push-up. Downward facing dog. Lift the right leg up into the air, three-legged dog. Step all the way forward. Place the hands to the inside of the foot so you can kind of heel toe the feet a little wider than hip distance here. And then back heel down. Bring your front elbow, your right elbow to the knee. And sort of in this middle stance, try to keep the head forward towards the front of the mat. And we'll call this pose A. B would be to interlace the hands behind the back. Try to squeeze the heel of the hand and the elbows towards each other. And then C, stretch the arms straight and send the head lower to the ground. So no-handed lunge. Now the head of your shoulder wants to curve down towards the mat. Try to lift the tip of your shoulder, head of the shoulder, more up towards the sky, even as you send the head low. Lots of nuance in there. And slowly release the hands, everyone, to the inside of the foot. Find your way back to downward facing dog. And second side, we're starting with three-legged dog. Lift the left leg. Step it forward. No rush. Get into that full stride. Both hands to the inside. Spin the back heel down. Left elbow to the thigh, right hand to the waist. Okay? And again, we're kind of sticking with this modified side angle pose. Or we're going to add the interlace of the hands. And whatever finger went forward first, you're going to switch it so it's like your second favorite clasp. Squeeze the heel of the hand in. I find that hard to do. Try to keep the heel of the hand as you stretch the arms. And it's easier when you're upright to see the head of the shoulder. Try to keep it lifted even as you ratchet head down. So the arms don't have to lift super high here. Just do your best. Have enough breath that keeps the integrity and the energy that you want to see in this practice. And then a slow release. Step both feet forward to the front of your mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Stand up, arms to the sky. And bring the palms together, center of the chest. Okay, release the arms. Let your whole body have a little bit of a shake there. How are we doing? Thumbs up, good to go. Let's keep on trucking along. I'm gonna stand facing you guys, whatever works for you, so that you can spread your arms pretty wide here. So if you can get in a place where you can spread your arms out. Lift your right knee up into your chest. And then take that same hand to the front of your shin and see if you can lift it up a little bit higher. Good. Take that knee more towards the line of your shoulder. And if you're thinking only about balance and how do I keep myself upright and I can't do the rest of the pose, try to hold on to something or put your back against a wall. Good. Can you keep this right knee as high as possible, but stretch your arms straight out in front of you? Make those stop signs that we did with our wrist. And then crouch your upper body forward like you're doing cat pose. Cat pose. And step the right foot down. Shake it out. Take the arms back out to either side. I'm just using this for balance. So if you have a different way to best balance, your arms can change. Left knee up. Okay? And I'm like, okay, that's my first range. And then I'm gonna use the hand to help go into more of a passive range of motion, which usually is a little more. I'm trying to keep that extra range of motion as you take the knee out to the side. And how am I doing that? Like I'm starting to try to squeeze the inner thigh muscles as if they're moving towards each other, hip strength, even though the legs are actually apart. Take the arms back out in front of you. And push towards me if I'm straight ahead for you. Round the back like you're doing cat pose in all fours. Yeah, you guys are great. Set the foot down. Give it a shake out. Take the arms up to the sky. Feet hip distance apart. Chair pose. Utkatasana. Utka meaning fierce here. We call it power pose a lot in Yoga Hour. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Look to the fingertips if possible. If looking to the fingertips isn't working for you, look more down at the ground, but keep trying to stretch your arms up to the sky. Take your hands to your hips now, and then bring your torso more parallel to the ground. Like a flamingo, kick your left heel to your seat. So you're balancing just on your right leg. And a squat in that leg. Can you go a little bit lower? Hips squeeze in towards each other. Now kick the left leg straight back behind you. Warrior 3. Extend the arms straight out in front of you. Right standing leg can go straighter, but keep your hips square. And then come out of the pose. Stand on 2 feet, stand up, shake it out. Almost nobody likes me for this series, but it's really great. Hip stability and strength. And it's a key portion of Bakasana. We're going back, arms up. We got a second side. Sit down, Utkatasana. Squeeze the inner thighs isometrically towards each other. So you're doing your best. And then give the arms a break for a moment. Hands to the hips. Go more parallel to the ground with the torso. Flamingo, kick your right heel towards your seat, so all of your weight just went onto the left side. Like the horseshoe of your hand, treat your big toe as though it gets all the pressure here. And then kick your legs straight out behind you. If that's too much, right toes down to the ground works. Stretch your arms out in front of you if you're still adding on here. Go for a straight or standing leg as works. Keep both hip points pointed down towards the floor. And then you get to stand on two legs again. Stretch the arms up to the sky. From the front of your mat, exhale, fold over. Downward facing dog. Down dog usually welcomed after that chair warrior 3 combo. Enjoy the stretch. Equal pressure, hands and feet here. A little shake through the head. Okay, set your right knee behind your right wrist. Pigeon prep. Right knee behind the right wrist. Heel towards the left hip. Lower your back knee to the ground. And then I want to keep this picture, but just stretch it out. Keep walking the left leg further back until your hips go evenly more down to the ground. And you can come down to the forearms. This is a good time to use your yoga block to stack underneath the forearms if you want a little bit more height. I would caution you not to put it underneath a hip. Use your strength instead. And if you're down on the forearms, come back up to the hands. For me, when my torso is more up and down in pigeon pose, I cannot have my back leg as far back. We're all individual and different, but this is the way it works for me. I bring the back knee in just 1 or 2 inches. And then from there, hug everything more in towards the center so you literally get higher off of the ground and stretch the arms up to the sky. So your upper body is like high lunge. And then with that strength and hold, maybe you walk the back knee back again, a little bit more. Release the hands. So now I like to walk my back knee all the way in until the knee is touching the front foot. And then shift to all fours. Downward facing dog. So I'm always looking for like doable, sustainable way to get into and out of these poses. Oftentimes our injuries happen in the practice, not in the pose, but when we're trying to come out of the pose in particular. Just keep it all in mind. Left knee towards the left wrist. Point the heel in towards the opposite hip. And then again, just slowly walk the back knee further back until more of the front of your right thigh goes close to the mat and go down to your forearms. Give it a few breaths there, but it's really strong held connection. We're not trying to go pelvis all the way down to the mat. We're trying to stay strengthened and connected. Think of where this practice is going, towards Bakasana. It's lifted, levitated pose, if you will. Okay, and then using those words, so we come back up to the hands. So I'm going to take the right knee closer to the front foot so that my pelvis is more levitated off of the ground. And then I find the balance, squeeze in strong, lift the arms up to the sky. And then what degree I can go lower is from a sense of strength first. Most of you realize I work from strength to get into the stretch. It's just what works in my body. It's what I find keeps most people out of injury. And then hands come down and use the back knee to walk forward until you can come to all fours. And again, downward facing dog. Bend your knees a lot and walk your hands backwards to your feet. Bring your hands to your hips, point the elbows up to the sky, push down into your feet, come all the way up to standing. Great, give it a little shake. Okay, take a wide stance on your yoga mat. If you have that yoga block, I want you to place it by your right foot. If you don't worry about it, no big deal. And then look at your left foot, dig the heel into the ground, pick up your toes and rotate them in just slightly. So that if you're looking down your left thigh, the front of the thigh muscle is moving more inward. Look at your other heel, your right heel, dig it in, lift the toes and turn the foot all the way out, 90 degrees. Then set it back down. Okay, arms out. Should feel a little crooked here, a little reach. And then reach as far as you can to the right side. Place the hand down behind your foot. Use any height of your yoga block. If you don't have a block, you can hold on to your leg or the floor. Triangle pose with the arm behind you, so a little extra opening across the chest here. Press down and out through your feet. And now everyone bring your top hand to your hip and rotate the your left hip should be more up towards the sky right now. I want you to rotate it so it points down towards the floor. Pick up your block, hold it in both hands, and reach your arms straight out in front of you. Can you even pulse the arms up just a couple of times? And then hold your yoga block in just your left hand and set it back down so it's rotated triangle pose now. Pull the right hip more up and back and take the left arm to the sky. Sorry, that's your right hand. And then bring everything back in, hands to the hips, and come all the way upright. Woo! We're gonna do that to the other side. Apologize if I was getting rights and lefts a little mixed up. Sometimes I forget when I'm mirroring you guys or not. Okay, so the back foot should be a little bit turned in, the front foot all the way turned out. Block on the pinky toe side of the foot. Reach as far as you can to the left. Lower the left hand down to find your leg, the floor, a yoga block behind your leg, top arm up to the sky. Big open pose. Okay, and then different here. Take your top hand to your hip and point your right hip down to the ground. It might take a little more rotation in the feet or in the legs. Give it a little bit of play. Now, can you pick up your yoga block, both hands, and shoot it straight out in front of you? Push a lot through your front big toe, your back outer heel. And then the other hand, your right hand, gets the yoga block. Set it back down where it came from. You're rotated all the way across the body now. Top arm up to the sky. Revolve triangle pose. Parivrtta Trikonasana. Extend from your hips out to the head. Open across the chest to reach up to the fingertips. As you untwist, hands can come to the waist. Push down through your feet and come all the way back up. Bring your feet parallel to one another. Wide-legged forward fold. Take the hands down, head down. Hands in line with your feet here. Take your head about in line with the feet as well. This is a nice trick if you already have that yoga block handy. You could use your hands on the block to make it easier to stay lifted in the torso and get more stretch out of the legs. If you generally have a little more range of motion, straight legs, head reaches down towards the floor. You could place the forehead on your yoga block. If you're always like, oh, it's so close, it's so close. Maybe you just need those couple of extra inches. And then bring the hands to the waist. Everyone press down into your feet and come all the way upright. Heel toe the feet in. Good, let's come back to the top of our yoga mat. Lift both arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank pose, top of your push-up. As much control as possible, lower down to your yoga mat. And then bend both knees. Have the feet touch, but the knees can stay apart. Feet touch, knees apart. Reach your hands back behind you, palms to the sky. Lift everything that you can up. And then as you lift up, rotate the hands so that the palms are facing each other like they're trying to clap behind your back. Lift, lift, lift. And lower it down. Release. Flip over onto your back. So you're going to lie down on your back, soles of the feet to your yoga mat. Okay, so on the back, soles of the feet to the mat. Point the knees straight up to the sky. Take your hands and try to brush close to or right against your heels. And then press down into your feet, shoulders and head. Bridge pose here. Lift the hips up. I always preach, get as strong as you can along the back side of the body. Squeeze the glutes. Give strength in the hamstrings by feeling muscle latch onto the bone. Can you imagine that? And then keep lifting the points of the hips, those bony points that stick out straight up towards the sky. Hands can be like bookends or interlace underneath you. Roll the shoulders a little more up and in. This pose can be a little trying on knees at times. What if you turn your toes out just a little bit? Does that take the pressure off that make the pose more doable? Look for ways to keep your energy, your focus where it needs to be for this time. Then release, lower back down to the mat, hug your knees into your chest. Deep, deep squeeze. Okay, if we think back to that standing balance that we did, I'm going to recreate it on our back, but with both knees at the same time. So hold your hands around the front of your shins and try to pull your knees as close to your chest as possible. And then take the knees wider, more towards the line of your armpits. It's a little like happy baby, but we're going to keep the feet together. Push the inner edges of your feet as much as you can, right against each other. That's asking so much in the hip. Do what you can. And then arms straight up towards the sky. Make those stop sign hands. Now you get to do a crunch in the upper body. Lift your head and shoulders off of the mat. As if you're kind of doing crunches up and down, lower down and lift up. Not as if, but actually do it. Do a little crunch up. Let your upper arm bones maybe rub against your knees as you go up and down here a few times. That rounded back position each time you bring your head and shoulders to the highest off the mat that you can. That's your Bakasana. You've all done it. And then you can release this and bring the soles of the feet back down to the mat. Take the hands like goalposts, so bend at the elbows. Some call this goddess arms. And then knees like windshield wipers, just side to side here. Side to side. Okay, hold behind your legs to give yourself a little rock and roll back up to a seated position. Okay, so that's Bakasana lying down on our back. We're going to try basically the same thing in a seated position. So now you're going to take soles of the feet together, knees out to the side. You know this as cobbler's pose, butterfly pose, Baddha Konasana, whatever fancy names we want to call it. Hold on to your ankles and try to pull your chest up and through. And then do as much of the opposite of that as you can. Chin down to the chest, round the back, drop away. Make the arms straight as you drop away. Keep holding on to the front of your ankles. And then keep your back like it is, but lift your chin so that you're looking just past your toes. Good. Take your arms out into that stop sign arm. And bend your elbows a little bit, like a quarter of the way down in a push-up. Now, can you take that bend of the elbows and change to the front of your shins? And then lastly, for hip strength, squeeze your knees up around your shoulders. Keep looking forward now past your hands. Imprint all that you're doing here, mind's eye. And then we can release and stretch the legs out. Okay? When I look at my yoga pose books, they say, if this is the problem in Bakasana, try it this way. If this is the problem, try it this way. And I think it's just that reminder that there are so many different practice elements that come into this pose. One of them is often confidence. And we can help ourselves by cushioning the blow. So get your yoga blanket or something a little cushy and place it towards the front of your mat. If you have your little step stool or a yoga block, stack of books, we're going to use that to stand on. So you want to put that on its most solid level. So I'm not going to use the highest height of my block because that would make me tip over. Okay, and then you're going to do a little squat on your height. So whatever height that you've built for yourself, a little squat. Heels up, Remember, we tried that right at the beginning. Like, how do we stand up and keep our balance? Squat back down. You want to keep that strength of the core there. Take the knees as wide as they'll go. Hands straight out in front of you, and then put them down on the ground. Make sure your cushion is where you think you might fall. Bend your elbows and try to crouch so that your upper arm bones match to your shins. And then lean forward. As you lean forward, is all of their weight going into the back of the wrist? Push it more into the horseshoe of your hand. How do I do that? I usually do that change in the wrist pressure by getting a little bit higher, lifting more out of my legs so that I have more ease to change in the hands. And then try to kick one heel in towards your seat, set it down. Kick the other heel in and set it down. Arm pressure, squeeze the inner thighs towards each other. Keep leaning forward. And try taking both feet off of your block. Remember, you've got that cushion. I can do it. And then you go back down. Good. Fun times. Try it one more time. Reset. Still up on your block. Still with the cushion there. I'm going hands straight out, so I've got to balance and keep my strength to start with. Okay, I've got strength. Arms and belly. Knowing that I can keep hold of that. And I'm saying these I statements so that you will say them to yourself. Place the hands down. Bend the elbows. Get a little more into the hips. But then I'm stuck down low. Lift the butt higher, feel the weight transfer more to the inner edges of the hands, and try again to find your levitation. Do the hard things. Take your feet down off of your yoga block, change to Malasana, yogi squat. Drop the hips down low, lift the chest, palms together. Can you lengthen your breath here? And when you're ready, props out of the way, do downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Big stretch. Step the right foot forward to your low lunge. Good old low lunge. Spin the back heel down. Try to line up about heel to heel if you're looking back into a line. Warrior one. We're coming up high, making a big stance after getting low there. Arms to the sky. Bend the front knee enough that you can push through the back outer foot. I say that because the deeper I bend into the front thigh, the more I have to work to push through the back leg. And lower the hands. Switch sides, left foot forward, right foot back. Spin the back heel down. Look at your feet, line it up about heel to heel. Some practitioners like heel to the middle of the back foot. I like a little more width. Come upright. Back leg, thigh likes to fold in here. So do the work. Push through the outer edge of the foot. Take the arms up to the sky. When you start to notice the pinky toe getting light, reaffirm. Stand up a little bit taller, push more, and then try to go lower. And lower the hands down. Plank pose. Chaturanga is a little hover. Cobra, lift the chest. Child's pose, knees apart, big toes together. Push back. Child's pose prepares us so much for Bakasana, that deep sit inflection into the hip. Rest. Okay, lift your torso upright, stand up. So just transition to come all the way to stand up. One more time. Okay, third and final big go round for Bakasana. No, I guess this is the fourth time. We did it on our back, we did it seated, we did it on the block. A lot of folks tend to come into this pose because it's how it's often taught or seen, from standing and then going low. We're going to try it that way. I think it's harder that way because it emphasizes upper body strength. So if that's your strength, then it's going to work. But for a lot of women in particular, it's not. And so it's like reverse, and we have to remember that this pose has a lot to do with belly and hips. But let's try it. Why the heck not? Stand on your mat, lift the arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. So like a forward fold, fingertips down to the ground. And then whatever amount of bend you need in the knees to get your hands flat on the floor. And usually then here, we're taught to put our knees as close to the armpits as possible. Lift up on your toes and try to put your knees into your armpits. Okay. How do we get our feet off the ground now? The closer your head goes to the ground, the pendulum of the body is going to say, the physics of the body are going to say it's easier to get your feet up. So keep tilting your head forward and see if you can bring your feet up. This is a great way to practice as you advance the pose into straight arms, actually, with shoulders more over the fingers instead of the wrist. So with your knees and your armpits, you lean a little forward until the line of your shoulder is past the line of your wrist. Do your best. 1 or 2 feet or none. Go back to forward fold. Let your head release. Shake it a little yes, shake it a little no. Proud of all of the hard work and good steady energy that you put into the practice. Slowly, hands to hips, elbows to the sky. You've been over a lot, so don't swing up too fast. Reach the arms up. Little back bend even here. And find neutral, mountain pose. Feet as close together as you like, as far apart as you like. Turn the palms open. Steady gaze or close the eyes and bring the gaze inward. And from here, we'll transition to sit down on the mat. We'll spend the rest of our time low on the mat. I'd say you've done all the hard work now. Cool down, then Shavasana. Fold over. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, so much of this week in popular culture focused on gratitude. Be grateful for the ability, for the ableism in your body here to have come to practice. And how much your practice, your inner work, if you will, your self-worth, allows you to then go out and give to others. Okay, come back upright, stretch your feet out in front of you. Bring just your right leg in, cross it over, and twist, lift. Hook the elbow to the outside of the knee. Oof, if that feels like too much, hold the front of your shin. I think I'll go there. And on an inhale, untwist. Take both legs out in front. Switch to the other side, in and over. Big lift. Hold the front of the shin or hook to the outside of your thigh. Look over your left side. And then inhale to come out of the twist. Set both legs straight out in front of you. After all of that hip flexion, it helps me, try this, to push just palms down on the thighs and just kind of walk down the legs and then back up the legs. Be a little bit of a shake, whatever feels nice. And because of that, legs a little wider rather than all the way together might feel good here. Fold over. If you are preparing a feast, having a feast tomorrow, we've done lots of good fiery energy in the belly so that digestion can help carry us through. All right, come back up, lie down onto your back. Pull both knees into the chest. Rock a little from side to side. Hold on to just the right leg. Extend the left leg back down. A bit like the twist we did, but now we're on our back. So we're going to take the right knee across the body. Have the right hand out. Gaze wherever feels good. Open or close the eyes. And we'll come back across the center, switch legs. Left knee in, cross it over. Friends, if you have a little extra time after class next Wednesday, hang on the line with me and I'll chat about what's to come for December in terms of our pose and sequence focus, as well as the monthly mantra, different meditation and creative techniques to take us into the month of December. All right, come back to the middle. Again, one more time, hold both knees into the chest. And then stretch the legs straight up to the sky. Reach the hands to try to hold close to the ankles. You can do a little crunch to hold on. And then try to lower the head and shoulders back down and bring the feet closer to you, even if it means lifting your seat off of the ground to get a stretch into the back and hamstrings. This can be done with some bend in the knees. So it's like a seated forward fold, but supine on our back. And then from here, yogi's choice. This is often where those that have a safe, regular inversion practice, you could add in a shoulder stand or a headstand. I like to just do a little unwinding movement. Like I always need just a little extra shake out prior to Shavasana. Any last little bit, take your time with it. And then when you are ready, find your last, final, your pose of stillness. Find Shavasana. That could be lying on your back. Some prefer a seat of meditation. Whatever fits you. As you find that stillness, if you notice your mind is still pretty darn busy, mine always is, try to do a body scan. Start down in your toes, say release and relax. Scan your way through the legs, the torso, down the arms, into the hands, and then back up to the shoulders and head. Release and relax. Allow yourself 5, 6 more long, full breaths here in stillness. And then slowly bring attention and awareness back to breath and body together. A little bit of movement. And more movement until you come up to a seated position. As always, sit in any way that feels right for you. Feel free to keep the eyes closed or the gaze low here. As a way to transition, as a way to take the gifts of our time on the yoga mat into the rest of our day, I like to close in the sound of Om. You're welcome to sing along. You're welcome to listen. You're welcome to tune it out. We'll take a breath in first. Empty it out. And take another breath in. And deepest of gratitude to you, to each other, and for this practice. Namaste.